the story that will break your heart. I thought I knew what love was. I thought I understood heartbreak. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what happened between Brooke Shields and Liam Neeson in 1991. Picture this, Brooke is at the peak of her career. Calvin Klein campaigns. Hollywood's golden girl. Everyone wants her, but she's guarded, careful. She's been burned before by men who saw her as a trophy, not a person. Then enters Liam Neeson, 6 feet 4 inches, Irish charm dripping from every word, fresh off his breakthrough role in Darkman. Their first meeting. Pure magic. It wasn't at some glamorous Hollywood party. It wasn't scripted or staged. It was at a small cafe in Manhattan, introduced by mutual friends. Brooke later told me, well, she told the world, that the moment Liam looked at her, really looked at her, she felt something she'd never experienced before. He didn't see Brooke Shields the actress, she would say years later, her voice still carrying that hint of wonder and pain. He saw me. Just me. Their first date lasted 14 hours. 14 hours. They walked through Central Park as autumn leaves crunched beneath their feet. He told her stories about growing up in Northern Ireland, about his mother who worked in a kitchen, about dreams bigger than the small town that raised him. She opened up about the pressure, the constant scrutiny, the loneliness that fame brings. I've never laughed so hard in my life, Brooke confessed to her closest friend. He makes me feel normal. Like I'm not performing for once. For 2 weeks, they were inseparable. Secret dinners at hole-in-the-wall restaurants where nobody recognized them. Long phone calls that stretched into dawn. He would show up at her apartment with coffee and croissants, knowing exactly how she liked her morning ritual. Liam was different from any man she'd ever met. He wasn't intimidated by her success. He didn't try to diminish her to make himself feel bigger. When photographers caught them together, he instinctively stepped closer to her, protective without being possessive. I think I'm falling in love, Brooke whispered to herself one morning, watching him sleep peacefully beside her. The morning light caught the silver in his hair, and she thought about forever for the first time in years. Then came the call that changed everything. Not to her, from her. Day 15. Brooke dialed his number, that familiar flutter in her stomach as she waited to hear his voice. But the number was disconnected. She called his agent. Sorry, Liam's unavailable indefinitely. She drove to his apartment. Empty. The doorman said he'd moved out 3 days ago. No forwarding address. No explanation. It was as if Liam Neeson had simply vanished. Brooke spent the next month in what she would later describe as a emotional freefall. She hired private investigators. She called every mutual friend, every contact, anyone who might know where he'd gone. Nothing. Radio silence. The worst part. She found out through a tabloid headline 6 weeks later, Liam Neeson's secret romance with mystery woman. There he was, photographed in Ireland with someone else, looking happy, moved on. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. I kept replaying every moment, Brooke revealed in a rare vulnerable interview years later. Every kiss, every laugh, every promise he made. I searched for signs I'd missed, red flags I'd ignored. But there were none. He was genuine, or so I thought. That's what made it so devastating. She discovered the truth through a mutual friend at a dinner party 2 years later. Liam's visa situation had become complicated. His ex-girlfriend from Ireland had shown up unexpectedly, pregnant, claiming the child was his. In a matter of days, his entire world had imploded, and he'd made the devastating choice to disappear rather than explain. He was a coward, the friend told her. He knew he was hurting you, but he couldn't face telling you the truth. But here's what broke Brooke's heart all over again, she would have understood. She would have helped him figure it out. She would have stood by him through the chaos because that's what you do when you love someone. He robbed her of that choice by simply vanishing. Those 2 weeks taught me more about love and loss than any relationship before or since, Brooke reflected decades later. Not because it lasted long, but because it felt so real, so pure, so full of possibility. When someone gives you a glimpse of what forever could feel like and then snatches it away without explanation, that kind of betrayal changes you. The cruelest part. Years later, at a film premiere, they ran into each other. Liam approached her, older now, grayer, his eyes carrying the weight of regret. "Brooke," he said softly. "I owe you an explanation." She looked at him, this man who had once made her believe in fairy tales, and felt nothing. No anger. No love. No pain. Just emptiness. "You're about 20 years too late, Liam," she replied, her voice steady and strong. "But I hope you found what you were looking for." And she walked away. Because sometimes the greatest victory isn't getting closure. It's realizing you don't need it anymore. Sometimes the loudest pain comes from the one who said nothing at all. But sometimes, the greatest strength comes from the woman who learned to say everything, to herself, for herself, and finally, to the world. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more incredible stories to come.